Welcome everyone, and I'm live on YouTube. I'm just going to go live on Instagram as well. It's loading and go live on Instagram. Let's see. Here we are, and I'm live on Instagram as well. Welcome everyone. I'm going to wait for a second, maybe a couple of seconds, for anyone who is going to join me live. And if you're watching it on a replay, welcome as well. Okay, people are joining in. Hello, everyone. Okay, let's begin. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to today's session of How to Be a Psychic Medium Virtual Retreat. I'm Marta, your host, also known as Marta the Medium, and I'm so grateful you're here. This retreat has been such a powerful gathering of energy, connection, and remembrance. And before we begin, I want to let you know that this retreat is sponsored by my Psychic Mediumship Foundation course, a 10-week journey where we dive deep into the sacred path of a intuitive development and mediumistic development. And together we explore grounding, energy protection, spiritual hygiene. We learn how to connect with our spirit guides, loved ones in spirit, and we understand and learn about activating our clairs. And there's so much more. And why am I mentioning about it? It is because the next round starts in just a couple of weeks. So if you're feeling drawn to exploring, deepening your mediumistic abilities, feel free to click on a link in my bio on Instagram, or if you're already part of this beautiful retreat, in your introductory module, you'll find more information and testimonials from the students who took this course. But now, let's begin our conversation. It is such an honor to introduce today's radiant guest. I'm going to bring her in. Hello, hello.
Hello,
Welcome.
Yep. Thank you so much for having
Hello.
me.
Thank you so much for being here. So I'm going to introduce formally Goddess Abiola Abrams. Goddess Abiola Abrams is a best-selling author, intuitive coach, and spiritual teacher devoted to women's empowerment and spiritual sovereignty. She's the founder of womanifesting.com, creator of the Ocean Oracle deck, and author of the powerful new book that we're going to talk about today, Divine Frequency: 23 Universal Laws to Activate Your Inner Power, Unlock Your Magic, and Manifest Miracles. Blending ancestral wisdom, divine feminine power, and universal law, her work invites us to embody our truth, magnetize our desires, and live in alignment with spirit. You may have seen her on Hay House Radio, the BBC, the Discovery Channel, or in the pages of Essence magazines. But beyond the media presence, Goddess Abiola is known for her grounded spiritual presence, walking her path with courage, devotion, and radiant soul. Let's welcome her now. Goddess Abiola, again, I'm so honored to be with you today.
Thank you, Goddess. Thank you so much for creating this sacred space for us to have these kinds of divine conversations.
Thank you. I would love to start by asking you, if it's okay with you, how did your spiritual path unfold, and were there early signs or experiences that led you into this work?
Yes, I love this question because I was a very tapped in child to everything around me. And children don't know that something is bad or wrong or forbidden until the adults around them, unless the adults around them say that. And my environment, my childhood was very playful, very I lived where there was a garden and there was nature. And so there were, at the time, I'm a New Yorker, there were all of these like aggressive things happening in the world. But I really felt, uh, at one with nature and spirit. And there for me, that I felt like, okay, when I could sit outside and talk to the ladybugs and talk to the lightning bugs and all of those things, that was a way of accessing spirit. And I could very much read people's auras, like feel people's presence, and feel either connected to them or repelled by them, or even sometimes just feel that something is walking with them or someone is walking with them, and all of those things. And so it's very interesting to me now, and I know you're a mom as well, with my 3-year-old, seeing her connection to the world around her, seeing her either into people or being like, Mommy, I don't like that person, and sticking with that, from when she was like 1 year old to like 2 years later, she's still like, rah, it's not my person, and even like she looks at, I have art in my house, and she'll look at, so there's a particular older painting that I have that is very ancestral to me. Like, it shows women carrying things on their head, as they still do in my parents' village, where my family's from. And instead of looking at those paintings, you think she would say, oh, that's, another grandma or something like that, because it's elderly people. She says, that's my daughter. She says, that's my daughter. She goes, that was my daughter in Africa. And I'm like, what? Like, where are you getting this? But she's more connected to spirit, like I was, like all children are, until it's practiced out of them. So I do definitely feel like I had access to my gifts early on. I had the advantage of being from a family where it wasn't so much like, shut up, don't do that, that's, scary, at least not yet. So I was allowed to feel that, to see, oh, okay, that person has the blue energy, or that person has, red energy, or, the ways that you would translate it as a child.
I love it. Thank
Yeah.
you. And I know so many of us have a unique relationship, whether with with our spirit team, whether with our spirit guides, angels, loved ones. What's your connection with your own spirit team like? I'm curious, how do they show up when you're writing, creating, or holding space for others?
So it's so cool. Like, I know that you feel this way, but I definitely feel this way. Like, I have the coolest spirit team. Like, like I have the coolest spirit team. I feel like, they definitely show up either, all energy. See, that's them. All energy at the same time, or depending on what the situation is, just the same way, if you have like a living team and certain people may be specialists at different things, I can feel sometimes that, okay, this particular energy is like, okay, it's book writing time, it's oracle creation time, here I am. Or, okay, now we're dealing with, grief or a loss or something, overwhelming, or anxiety. So it's now this energy's time, that sort of thing. That's how very much they show up. For me, it's very energetic, that I am, very clairsentient, and also clairaudient, but very much clairsentient and claircognizant are the strongest ways that, spiritual energy, like, just comes into me, like just a knowingness. So it's not even where most times I can feel a separation to say, it's like, the energy and the information comes and it downloads, and there it is. And another beautiful way that my spirit team, I feel like, is very supportive of me, is that they help me to rapidly translate information from other people's spiritual teams. So as you know, like, sometimes when we're talking or working on something, I will say, well, your spirit team is saying this, because I'm feeling their downloads and their energy as well when I am talking to you. So it's like, a whole bunch of folk, we're all in the room and we're all figuring out what we need to know. But I feel very much loved and safe and protected by them in the world. I feel like they are, like, okay, there's there's, the parental energy, perhaps from like grandmothers and great grandmothers and great grandfathers, and supportive energy. There's also angelic presence and energy. And so, as I said, it's, the energy, the right energy steps forward at the right time, depending on what's going on, you know?
Beautiful. Thank you. I know you often speak about powerful teachers and spiritual mentors, people like Neville Goddard, Louise Hay, Wayne Dyer, or Joseph Murphy, to name a couple.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a bit more about how their work has shaped your journey?
Very much so. I have been the beneficiary of so many important and wonderful spiritual teachers. And an interesting thing happens. Like, I used to feel when I was younger, and I would, there was someone that I would listen to, like Louise Hay or someone, and then they would pass away, and I would feel sad, like, oh, I didn't get a chance to connect with that person. But what I've learned since is that I can have a closer connection with them, afterward. I have a closer connection with them. So, like, Dr. Wayne Dyer, only, even though we only, met and connected in person one time or maybe two times that I'm aware of, that I can remember. I used to go to the Hay House I Can Do It summits when I was younger. Even though we only connected, that one or two times in person, which was actually very, very intense, I can very easily now access his energy when it's like, okay, I'm writing, this book, and it's like, okay, like, not even what would Wayne do, what are we doing here, it's like, so it's a really beautiful thing, and it's a wonderful thing to know of when we have loved ones also who have transitioned, that you have more access to them. Today I am feeling a bit of personal grief, and I would feel safe to share that, and because of this kind of container that you created. And I'm actually going to a funeral later today, this afternoon. My godmother passed away, and I feel her energy, and I feel connected to her, like, okay, in a different way than when she was in the living, even though it's been, only a week now since she's gone in quotes, but feeling a different connection to her, like, oh, okay, she's here, so yeah, so but I think accessing the energy and the teachings of mentors is so very important. And I think that that's why programs like mine and like your school that you have, your, Psychic Foundation school, the teachings that you're doing an incredible service. I think that it's very necessary that so many people have gifts, or maybe on the periphery of these gifts, and maybe haven't come out of the spiritual closet, or, there's a dominant, voice that says, oh, well, you can just Google anything. Well, you can, and you should, if that's, what you want to do. But if you want to work with a mentor, like when people come into your program and you hold their hand, literally, like you pour yourself, your blood, your sweat, your tears into the work that you're doing, good mentorship is incredible. And what a gift that you're doing what you're doing.
Thank you. And then I can say exactly the same about you. What a great gift you are to the world, to your community. And thank you for being so honest, authentic, and vulnerable, even now, by sharing your personal story. And I feel like you're going to inspire so many other people. And you're hopefully giving hope to those who are watching it, whether they're part of the retreat or not, that love never dies, that we might lose someone physically, but we have a heart to heart connection with our loved ones on the other side. And knowing that, well, you've just mentioned you can feel your godmother's presence. And for anyone who has recently lost someone, like, if you don't feel the presence, you can still ask for any signs and symbols. Know that we can all connect with our loved ones. They are by your side. So thank you so much for being open.
Oh, you're welcome. And I think you just said something that's very important, is ask. That we can ask, ask for guidance, ask for a sign, ask for help, ask for protection, ask, that this is a relationship that we are having that continues on after people are in the spirit world.
Mhm.
Well, it
Could
will.
we talk a little bit now about your incredible new book, Divine Frequency? I'm so curious what inspired you to write this, and what does it mean to truly live in divine frequency?
Yes. So the divine frequency, I'm really excited about this book, which is available wherever you buy books right now. Um, the divine frequency is the highest energy, the highest vibration in our universe, in our world, in our on our planet, on wherever you, however you want to break things up. And what it means is the divine frequency. Some people may call it Christ consciousness. Some people may call it Ashe, Prana, Chi, Ki. It can also be called the energy of love. It is just the or crown chakra energy. There are many different names for this same energetic force that, again, you may also call God, Allah, Buddha. The divine frequency is the energy of the divine that lives within all of us, that there is a thread that connects all of us. And by accessing this frequency, by putting ourselves in this frequency, by transmuting the experiences that we're having into this frequency, that's where everything we want everything we want lives. So if you're like, well, where's my money? Where's my love? Where's my house? Where's my whatever? It's in the divine frequency. So that may sound very simple, and it is simple, but simple is not the same thing as easy, because between us and the divine frequency, we have beliefs that are, misguided beliefs by the well-meaning people who raised us, or that life has taught us, or whatever it is, that translate into blocks that hold us outside of the frequency of the divine. But I really wanted to create this book because there are many different books on the universal laws, but there wasn't one that was done in this way. When many people talk about the universal laws, they start with the Hermetic laws, the Hermetic principles, and then they kind of stop there. And there are many different universal laws, and not only sourced from the Hermetic principles, but I wanted to source these laws from cultures globally, African and Asian and indigenous cultures in addition. And so this book, it has 23 universal laws, and it picks up where my last book, From Imagination to Reality, which was the teachings of Neville Goddard and Joseph Murphy and other luminaries based on from their teacher Abdullah. And so that focused on one law, which is the law of assumption. And then this book goes into 22 other laws, 23 if you count the law of assumption. And I just feel like I'm just so happy to bring it into the world.
I love it because you offer such a rich and multidimensional approach to manifesting, which really goes beyond vision boards and affirmations. I've got two questions that are popping into my mind, but like one, since you've already mentioned that book explores 23 universal laws, is there one law you believe is most often overlooked, but deeply transformative when applied?
Oh, that's such a great question. Because one of the things that you'll find, and I'll just show the inside of the book, is that, that the laws kind of overlap each other, which is a great thing. I will often say to people, if they say, well, I don't believe in that, I don't believe universal laws, I say, well, you can say, I don't believe in gravity, but it doesn't mean that it's not there. That these are the laws that are, governing what we do. And so they may have different names in different cultures and different ways that they show up, but the laws are there. So here are the laws. So let me see what's one that is overlooked. Okay, so one that I see that is very simple and commonly overlooked is, for example, the law of sacred beauty. Right? So let me explain what that is. So when I talk about sacred beauty, I'm talking about beauty as a spiritual practice. Beauty, like imagination, is trivialized, and we're told beauty is a woman's thing, or beauty is, feminine, or beauty is trivial. We have more important things to focus on and worry about, and all of those things. But beauty, for example, there's feng shui, which is a science of beauty, the way that things are organized and laid out, or for people who do altar practice, or people who do vision boards. Beauty is the reflection of the divine in our everyday environments, in our homes, and how we treat our bodies and how we treat each other.
Mm.
And so when there is a dearth of beauty, when you are craving, when there's a hunger for beauty, when you deprioritize, beauty, your home or your life can be cluttered or overwhelmed with things that make you unhappy, that, or relationships and things that you are tolerating that are create an unhealthy mental, physical, emotional, spiritual environment. You cannot do the other things that you were born to do. You cannot, you cannot be fully who you were born to be. And so beauty is not a trivial thing. Beauty is a sacred thing that when if you're looking at and truly experiencing, a magnificent tree, for example, or, the smile of your children, or all of these things are ways to access the divine frequency, are ways to access God, the God frequency, God energy, the energy of the divine, if you are wanting to just bask in it, or if you are wanting to purposefully manifest and create and alchemize to you the things that you desire, the desires of your heart. So I think that that is definitely, an overlooked principle. And there's an indigenous American, Native American principle called Nishoni, which is, the magic of beauty, is kind of like the
Mm.
translate. And that's what it is. That's what it is. Like, even when, if when we're cooking, or when we're, for people who work with different herbs or candles or whatever, like there's a beauty, there's a resonance, like, to the experience. And even now, just looking at our us having this conversation, for example, looking at, like, okay, you've got your lipstick and your jacket, and the way that the red contrasts with the green, like, it's electric, and it's beautiful, and it makes it more exciting for the people who are watching, who are experiencing it. It's not a trivial thing at all.
I love it. So, do you think by concentrating on, well, different layers, different meanings of beauty, we can align with our own divine frequency? And would you say that it helps those who are perhaps overwhelmed or feel they're out of sync? Uh,
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So there are the heavier laws, like the law of mentalism, the law of correspondence, or even, the more well-known ones like the law of attraction and law of assumption. But absolutely, if you wanted to say, okay, I'm going to give myself a 28-day practice of sacred
mhm.
beauty, where every day I'm going to be grateful. I'm going to notice beauty. So I'm going to notice and appreciate it and think, okay,
Mm.
what are 3 things today that are the most beautiful things that I experienced? And I'm going to actively seek it. Every day I'm going to go and experience something beautiful, whether it is your own face and enjoying, the way, getting dressed up and doing your hair and whatever, and all of those things. Or if it is, a garden or a park, or experiencing beauty in, your loved one's faces, all of those things, that can be an incredibly healing, transformational, very powerful practice to do. That sounds very, very simple, but is really a magnificent thing if we think about it.
I love it. So here we are, a very powerful practice from divine frequency. Could you also mention briefly, because I know you talk about identity and energy in your book, how can shifting your identity support lasting manifestations?
Yes. Oh my gosh. All right. So we often talk about, in the world of manifesting, the energy of be, do, have, which usually most people translate into, if you want to have these certain things, then you've got to be and do this certain way, be and do these certain things to have these things. But the real energetic translation of that is by being whatever it is that you desire, that the being comes first, and then the havingness of it is a natural outsourcing energy of it. So if you are wanting, say, more money, wanting to feel more abundant, more prosperous, more rich, feeling into the energy of brokenness, poverty, scarcity, limits, lack, the fear-based energy of that is going to make it very much more challenging for you to feel into the energy of abundance, prosperity, richness, wealth. And one of the biggest examples that we see of this is if we think about, if you look at lottery owners, the percentages that not only go back, end up broke, but end up worse off than they were before, which it seems really simple. Like, okay, they got this money, this windfall, their lives should be changed forevermore for them and their loved ones and their children. But a lot of them, unfortunately, end up worse off than they were before. And it's because their paradigm, their identity has not shifted. Their beingness has not shifted. They still have the same identity of, whatever it was before, I'm poor, I'm broke, I'm scarce, or I lack, or whatever it was. I don't know, but they still have that identity. So if you are then trying to create a new life with an old identity, it's not going to work, because as human beings, as spiritual beings having a human experience here in Earth School, we are going to fight tooth and nail for our identity. If you see, that's what's happening in political situations around the world. People are married to their identity. People are locked into their identity. And it's very challenging for people to get out of their identity, for better or for worse. Even if we think about simple things like, what do we eat, or where do we kind of entertainment we like, like we all have stories about ourselves. Like, I'm this kind of person, I'm that kind of person. People say, well, I'm a comedy person, I'm a that person, or I like this designer, I don't like designer, I'm an art person. We have these things as a part of our identity. And if we don't allow ourselves to shift and transmute and change and evolve that identity into the things that we desire, we're going to be out of alignment with those desires. I'll give you a very simple example, painful, simple example from my own life. When I was going through years ago, before my daughter was born, a lot of fertility stuff, fertility issues, and going to different fertility doctors and doing acupuncture and all of these different things. And this one fertility doctor told me his prevailing teaching is that, that if you are a carnivore rather than, a plant-based person, which I've been most of my life. My father was, a vegan vegetarian when I was growing up. And so he raised us very much in a plant-based society in my home. If you are a plant-based person, this doctor's philosophy is, I don't know if it's true or not, but that will hinder your fertility, that being a carnivore is the way to go. And that sounds very simple. So for some people, it would be very easy. Like, oh my God, that's great. You just eat meat all the time. And, and he advises eating lots of meat and lots of butter and lots of, that's his thing, this doctor. And that for me was the most difficult thing in the world. And I remember one of my mentors did not understand why I was having so much problems with that. But it's because my identity, ever since I was a child, is very locked up in the idea, the theory that plant-based is healthier. Plant-based is the way to go. I am the kind of person that eats plant-based. I am from, for better or for worse, the ways that we designate and separate ourselves from other people, whatever it is, we all have these ideas about ourselves, about what's better and what's worse, about, even an identity with, well, plant-based are better. We take better care of our bodies, and we're whatever it is, but we all have these things. And so for me, that was very much a part of, and still is a part of, my paradigm, the way that I see the world. And so it was challenging for me that this thing that I want, which at the time was to have a baby, is on the other side of meat eating, even though this doctor was telling me this and showing scientific facts. So we do that all the time. When it comes to wanting to create a business, for example, or wanting to, have a relationship or whatever it is, where we want something, but our paradigm, our identity is locked into another idea.
I love it. Thank you so much for mentioning, because I truly believe we all have our, well, sense of identity, and sometimes it is scary to tap into our most authentic self or the true identity, because who are we going to be without all those labels, all those preconditionings? So it is scary. And I would say to anyone, like, it's really worth to go through that fear, to really lean and surrender to the universe, because once you're really tapped into your soul and heart space, there's nothing more beautiful like to live your life from that space.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. Oh, beautiful.
I know we're approaching the end of our conversation, but I was hoping, would you be able to pull a card from
Yeah.
your new Oracle deck, Ocean Oracle deck, because it is such a beautiful and empowering tool. And I was hoping you could also briefly tell us about the inspiration behind it and how we can use it to connect with the divine feminine and our intuitive wisdom.
Oh, I thought you'd never ask.
Oh no, how? How? No.
So yes, so the Faces of Oshun Oracle deck, which is this deck here, is just one of my favorite spiritual tools. It is my third widely published Oracle deck, and I am in love with this deck, and I have been in love with Oshun, who is a Yoruba force of nature, from the where currently Nigeria, Togo, and Benin are. This is where this goddess is from, and she is the goddess of sweet waters, the goddess of rivers, the goddess of the divine feminine energy, everything we would think about with divine feminine energy, love and sensuality and motherhood and all of those things. And her energy is very beautiful, but it's also very like motherhood, you have to discipline and all of that, the other side of it. And so, it is the kind of deck that will tell you the truth, whether you want to hear it or not. And I've been working with Oshun since personally, like, on a deeper level for a very, very long time. And I had a funny experience that I will share with your folks yesterday, where I was looking through my very first book, which I wrote, which was published a really long time ago. Do the math, but over probably like maybe 12 to 13 years ago. And I was looking through the book. I thought I had a copy here. I was looking through the book, and haven't read the book in over 10 years. And the main character of the book, Maya, was creating an Oshun altar. And I didn't even know I don't remember that was in there, but it was beautiful to see. Yeah. So yes, I would love, love, love to pull a card. These are the cards. This is the back of the card. They were beautifully illustrated by my wonderful artist sister friend that I have worked with on the last 3 decks. Her name is Destiny Powell. That's the back, which is like honeycomb and bees. And this is just one of the cards. And I'm going to back in now and shuffle. And whether you're an experienced Oracle reader or, new to Oracles, it's a beautiful deck to begin with. Let me just add this, because I'm feeling the nudge to just share this. So if you're watching this and you're watching all of these wonderful speakers talk about how to be a psychic medium, which is the title of this virtual retreat, and it feels a little bit like a jump for you, hard for you, challenging for you to access these energies on your own, without any spiritual tools, which, spiritual tools are there for all of us to use, no matter what are. So using Oracle decks, is a wonderful way. It's not. So someone once told me, she said she felt like it was it was cheating to use Oracle. I was like, no, like we all use decks. We all, all of these tools which are there for us. So, just wanted to just share that. Okay. All right. So let's just focus in. So Goddess Marta, I'm going to invite you as I just clear the energy here. Okay. I'm going to shuffle. Let me just do some clearing shuffling. Okay, now I'm going to just invite you just to tell us when.
Stop, please.
Okay, and then we're between two, so I'm going to pull both of them. And we're in the energy right before the new moon in Gemini. Gemini just began yesterday, so it's very much an energy of duality. So it makes sense that there'll be these two. It's so funny. You just pulled the same card that I just put back into the deck and shuffled. And so we have pulled the energy of new beginnings. Oshun of the Dawn, new beginnings, hope, and fresh start, which is the first card in the deck. So that makes so much sense. New beginnings, fresh start energy. And then let me pull the other one. Okay. And then also Oshun of miracles, the energy of miracles, divine synchronicity, unexpected blessings, and hope. So if you are watching this, although Goddess Marta, I'm trying to get so that you can see the card. If you are watching this, although it is we can't get a good focus. Although Goddess Marta pulled the card for us, this is aimed at you too. With the two of these cards together, this is saying it's, and this is card number 43, so it's almost the last card in the deck and the first card in the deck, the full journey. The full journey, which is saying that, you know, that this is a time of miracles. It's a fresh start into a time of miracles. That this is an energy of, if someone's saying to you, be realistic, your only reply should be yes, expect a miracle. Be realistic and expect a miracle, because miracles are realistic for all of us. And that is the message that you have pulled for us today.
Thank you. And before we close, is there anything else you feel called to share, perhaps a message for the spiritual seekers, light workers, and intuitive beings tuning in today?
Yes. So I just want to just say, first of all, you know, I want to congratulate you for showing up to this conversation, that is just the beginning of it. And showing up is a very powerful thing to do. And if you are listening to this and you're watching this, or however you're accessing this, it's not by accident. It's for a reason. It's because you have felt a call, a spiritual and divine calling, whatever form that takes. And I want to encourage you to do the brave thing and answer it. Tune in and tap into your gifts. You know, tune in and tap into the universal knowledge that is there for us. Tune in and tap into the divine frequency to create the life that you deserve and desire. So I just want to just say also, just, you know, choose love, choose love, choose love.
Beautiful, thank you. And before we finish, I just wanted to share, or perhaps you would like to share, about beautiful prizes that you've got for the members of this retreat. This is so exciting.
So I have prizes, but I also have a free gift. So if you go to womanifesting.com, so like manifesting.com, but womanifesting.com, and look in the top menu, I have lots of free different things, like the Goddess of Receiving workbook, and also free gifts if you buy a deck or book, all of that good stuff, and just free gifts, just free stuff. So check out womanifesting.com. And then I am doing a giveaway that's going to be orchestrated by Goddess Marta, where I'm going to give away 2 copies of my book. I'm going to say 2 copies of, let's see, how do we want to do it? So did I say, I think I said 2 copies of this book and and the deck?
And a copy of the deck.
Yes. Okay. All right. So so do whatever Goddess Marta says to do in order to win. And even if you don't win, it's still worthy of the investment. The book is named The Divine Frequency: Harness the Magic of the Universal Laws for Transformation, Manifestation, and Freedom, your personal freedom. So 2 copies of the book and 1 copy of the Faces of Oshun Oracle deck.
Thank you. And I'll briefly share for you, in order for anyone to be able to be considered for that prize, you just have to basically follow Goddess Abiola on her social media, follow me, and then tag us in a story or a post with any breakthroughs, anything that you've learned from the session with Goddess Abiola. And I'm going to announce all of the winners during the closing ceremony on Monday, 26th of May. And if you haven't registered for the conference, go to tinyurl.com/how-to-be-a-psychic medium. And if you feel called to go deeper, again, I invite you to join my Psychic Mediumship Foundation course. You can find all the information inside the retreat or via the link in my bio on my Instagram. Thank you so much, Goddess Aviola, for sharing your wisdom, your heart, and your divine energy with us. This conversation has been soul nourishing.
Oh, thank you, Goddess. I loved this conversation as well. Oh, and the link where they can follow me on social, I'm on social media at Abiola TV, like Transformation and Victory at Abiola TV. Thank you, Goddess Marta. This has absolutely been so good.
Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who's watching it, whether live or on the replay. Goodbye. And I'm sending everyone lots of love. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.